we can choose to do, for example, some negative sampling ourselves. So just as one question earlier, so you can actually, I think the sampling functions are from here, utility functions. So in that, you should be able to find some functions for you to randomly sample nodes or sample label or links for your task. And also, this is just more, I think, more specific, that you can actually choose what device you want to use. Say here, if you have a GPU, and of course on Colab, you can change your runtime type to a GPU one. And then you can send your data and send your model to this device, and then they will run it on a GPU. And the code is original code is referenced over here. Okay, and again, we are using the same set, the same data, the Cora data, right? So we are right now is a different task, is to see whether we are able to predict the citation relationship correctly from that. You may notice I have some calculation over here, and that is what I'm trying to figure out for a long time, like how they actually do the random link split. Yeah. So I really want to figure out this function of in the end how they get this, right? Say if you remember in the first one, not this one. So in the node classification one, so if you what you can, if you run, you can print it over there. So you have so you have say 10,000 edges and 2,700 nodes, right? So this is your original graph as shown over here. And after you do the transformation of random link split, and if you print out the train, validation graph, and test graph, you'll find that, okay, the node is still seems the same, but the edge link right now for the train and the validation, it becomes 7,300 something. And for the test graph, it becomes 8,400. And then you can ignore this because this is originally what is included in the graph. We can look at this. So this is what is actually the edge label for your training, for your test, for your validation, and for your test. So in your training, there are 3,600 something labels, and 1,000 labels for the validation, and 2,000 for the test. So I really want to figure out where this number is calculated from, and why the edge label kind of differs from this, right? And why the edge label is, since the validation graph has so many edges, why it has only this many edge labels over here. So throughout this random link split, how these numbers are derived. So that is where all this calculation is from. So basically, this graph is an undirected graph originally, although I believe the citation should be a directed graph, but in this data set, it is an undirected graph. So originally is the 10,000 something, but you divide it by half, so you got this 5,200 undirected edges. And in this function, we set the validation ratio to be 0.1 and test ratio to be 0.2, right? So, and then we can calculate, okay, for the validation edge labels, we will need around 527 positive labels for validations. And for the test, since we choose the ratio to be 0.2, so it's around 1,000, right? So that is where you see the, there's a different story. And over here, you see the negative sampling ratio. So in addition to the positive links, we also sample here for the negative links. So the links that doesn't exist in the graph, and we will randomly sample those missing links as our negative labels. right? So if it's 1.0, it means if you sample 100 positive labels, you will also sample 100 negative labels, right, for your validation test. So that's why in the validation, it will also sample exactly the same positive labels here. So totally for validation, so for total validation, you have positive plus negative, you have 1,000 and 1,000 edge labels. And for the test edge labels, again, because of the ratio is 1.0, the negative label is the same with the positive labels, and total is around 2,000. And for the training labels, all the rest, so in their original function, they just do a minor subtraction. So this is the original total edges and directed edges, and then you minus the validation edges and minus the test edges, and that is your positive training edges. So all the existing edges are used as the training edge labels. And we specifically mentioned here that we don't want to add any negative training samples here. So the negative training edges will be 0, because in the following, when we run that epochs, for each epoch, we are going to do our own negative sampling. So for each epoch, we'll have a different version of the negative sampling of the edges. So that's why in here, in the transformation, we don't choose to do the negative sampling over here for the training. So the negative will be 0. So totally for the training will be 3,600 for the training. Okay, so I think we have figured out why these numbers, right? So we have figured out why the edge labels are like this. And next question is why the edge index showing a different number of edges over here, right? So, and why the test is different from the train and the validation. And actually, this is actually the edges for the message passing. They call in the graph, they call the message passing, right? They use the message passing to do the transform and aggregation. And that is the message passing. So in your training, since you have 3,600 labels and it's undirected, right? So and in your edge index, it basically converted. So there will be a symmetric row graph node indices. So you just multiply by 2 since it's undirected, and then that gives you the edge index of this much. And for the validation, the message passing will be exactly the same with the training message passing. So whatever graph you are using for the training, that graph is exactly the same for the validation edges. So it will be exactly the same as 7,300. And in your test message passing edges, it will be the training message passing plus the validation edges. So it will be the training edges plus the validation edges. So you remember the validation edges has 1,000 something, right? So all the validation edges will be included for your test set message passing transformation. So here you will get a total test of 8,400. So that's how I figure out why this is 8,400 for the. So basically, it's the graph, what graph you are using for the message passing. Yeah, so I think once we clear this out, it becomes much clearer on what graph we are utilizing for the transformation and what labels we are using for this task. Right? I hope I explained clearly, and if not, maybe you can just read through the calculation again over here. And then, yeah, so I don't think we need, this is, I just want to double check whether the edge indices really has that mutual directional relationship. So if I just filter out all the first indexes must be smaller or equal to the second indexes, right? To make it kind of directional, I get the half of the edges there. Okay, so next for the link prediction, right? So they call it actually it's an auto encoder model. So autoencoder model is basically to figure out the edges. It's trying to build a model to recover or regenerate the graph it observed. Right. So the input, it can be your regional adjacency matrix or some node embedding matrix. I think here, if you don't have any node embedding, then it's an identity matrix. And then this is your inference layers through the graph convolutional network. And then this is your latent representations of the node embeddings. And then from the node embeddings, you want to figure out, okay, between these two nodes, if I know the node embeddings, whether these two nodes should be connected or not. Right. So you can do as simple as inner product of the node embeddings. So if they're similar enough, then they should be connected as such. And so it kind of reconnects the nodes into a graph. And in this example, we are using very simple decoder. For the encoder, we are, again, just as the node classification task, we are using a 2-layer graph convolutional layers. And for the decoder, we just use the pairwise inner products of the node embeddings. And then for the loss, we use the BCE with logits loss. So you wonder, what is this? And actually, it's just a combination of sigma layers and the binary cross entropy. So since the edge link prediction is 1 or 0, right? So it's a binary target variable. So we can just use the binary loss entropy. And we can actually combine a sigma layers to transform your output to between 0 and 1, and then calculate the loss. So you may wonder why there's a loss like this, because people find that by combining the sigma and the binary cross entropy all together, it can help with you can simplify the operation and reach some numerical stabilities through this loss. Okay, and then let's look at the model. And again, I think it's very similar to the node classification model, right? So here we just use simple graph convolutional network layers. And then for the encoders, so this is the encoder, is the same as the forward function in the node classification task. And for the decoder, we just do an inner product, right? So if the two node embeddings are similar enough, then there should be a link, right? And of course, you can choose to whether you want to decode all. So it's basically a matrix multiplication operation there. So it will be faster. That you just do by the matrix operation. So over here, so you can again be using the Adam optimizer and using this binary cross entropy loss. And in your model training, I think this is exactly the same as the previous train function. It's just that right now instead of the forward function, right now you use the encode function, right? So you basically transform or encode your graph into the latent space. I think that you can call this as the latent space of your graph. And then for each of the epoch, you do a negative sampling. So remember, now we don't have any negative labels for your training data. So you can do the negative sampling over here. And then you can choose.
Who's back?
Yeah, I think let me reshare it. Let me reshare it. Okay, so I think, yeah, so I think I got, I will restart the negative sampling over here. So you pass in your graph structures, your number of nodes, and you can choose that how many negative samples you want to generate, right? So for here, you can say, I just want to use the exactly same positive labels in your training data. So edge label index, remember, is the positive, is your positive links edges. Okay, so we have right now exactly the same number of negative links, and then yeah, so this is your edge label index. Yeah, so you sample your negative together with your positive. And then this is your label. So this is your previous label. And then for your negative label, you will get all 0, right? So it's because it's negative. And then you can decode this so out of your decode, so you will know that, so what is the, whether that links between these two edges should be connected or not. So that is a prediction from your model. And then you can compare the prediction with your ground truth. So ground truth, your edge label. And then you do the loss, and then you again backward, and then using the optimizer step. And that is how you back propagate your loss from your link prediction and then update your model. So this describes like 1 epoch over here. Again, the task, I think it will be more straightforward. You just do an encode and decode. And of course, you can do a sigmoid over here. And then you can calculate, say, the area under curve score for the binary classification task. And here, again, you run like 100 epochs. And then you can say, OK, my best test accuracy is defined by my best validation. So whenever I find the best validation, I will use that model for my test performance. Right? So you can see. So this is the loss, and this is the area under curve. Actually, it's pretty high. Area under curve for your validation and for your test. And the best, I think, is still, yeah. So from here is 8884 for your test. And of course, you can just query the model by first do a encoding and then do a decoding, and then final edge indexes is kind of this. So it tells you which nodes are connected or not. And actually, you realize there will be some the same self connection nodes over here, just because the two nodes has exactly the same embedding. So if you don't want it, you can filter them out later on. Yeah, that's the link prediction. I think you all are busy running this, right? But I really hope that you can, after running this, I really hope that you can make some modification. For example, you may want to change the encoder, right, to the attention layer. And maybe you want to, for the decoder, you can also do more, add more layers, and you choose different functions to predict the likelihood or probability of that link connection. So there's lots of room for you to improve on this baseline. And actually, I think it's already very good. I mean, AUC almost close to 90%. I think it's almost done. Like the score is this high. So yeah, that's on the link prediction. So any questions, or do you want to share any fun when you are running through the notebook?